Welcome, fans, to an emergency episode of the Rangers Ed podcast. This is your host, Cousin Ed, with my co host, Little Ed and Coach Ed. What's up, guys?
Big
Vladimir
day.
Tarasenko.
Big
Vladimir
day.
Tarasenko is a New York Ranger. The trade call came in. The final trade was Tarasenko, 50% retained, and Nico Mikkola, a left handed defenseman from Finland, in exchange for a 2023 first round pick, conditional pick, the later of the two that the Rangers own, their own in Dallas. The later of those two will go to the Blues. Sammy Blais is back to St. Louis, completing the trade tree on the Pavel Buchnevich trade. Hunter Skinner to the Blues as well, a right D prospect in Hartford, and a 2024 fourth round pick as well, which is also conditional, becomes a third if the Rangers make the playoffs, which looks like they will. So let's get our initial reactions. Let's go to Little Ed. Tarasenko and Mikkola, initial reaction on the trade.
Well, my initial reaction was I was definitely a little nervous on what the return was going to be. I think that's what everyone's reaction was. Why do they do that? Like, how come they can't just release the whole thing at once? It's just they have to. Someone's got to know who was traded somewhere.
Because
But
the beat
whatever.
writers are just terrible
It's
in the
crazy.
NHL, man. They just find out at the last minute and they're like, Tarasenko to Rangers, like tweet it out. And then there's no information until the trade call about what the other pieces are.
Yeah, it's a race to who's going to be first.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I was
annoying.
going to say. They all want to be the guy that lets it out.
Yep. So no, that was my initial thing, but no, like the now like after everything's settled, I absolutely love it. I think the Rangers needed that right wing. I obviously wanted it to be Patrick Kane, but I think this is the next best thing available on the market. And I think Kane's probably just going to stay in Chicago, or maybe his injury had a lot to do with it. But either way, I think it's phenomenal, and it rounds out that top line. And like we talked about on the previous episode, it kind of gives more freedom to make the fourth line stronger now that we have the top three or the top nine solidified.
Yeah, I agree with that. Coach, what's your initial reaction?
Well, I'm not on the Instagram or Twitter or anything, so I only watch what you guys were saying, and it's like it's amazing how like it's possible, and then the next like 5 minutes later it happened, and then 5 minutes later it's done, and you know I'm a little disappointed that it's only for this year though. I guess it's just one of those loaner things. Or he's a free agent after this year.
Yep, Tarasenko, $7.5 million contract. He comes in 50%. So the cap hit to the Rangers is 3.75, and he's an unrestricted free agent after the year. And so is Nico Mikkola. I don't really see a situation where they can afford Tarasenko unless money is moved out in some way. So it looks to be just a straight rental for the playoffs this year.
I mean, I'm not going to hate because they didn't get to me. They didn't give up much. I know it's a first rounder, but they already are overloaded with a lot of first rounders, and there's not much room to do anything else. And it's not like they're going to be in the running to get Barrard or anybody. You know, they're probably going to be what, middle of the round, first round, generally.
Well, so the Rangers and Dallas are two of the better teams in the NHL. The way the way it works is if you make the conference finals, you're the final four picks. No matter where you ended in the regular season. So if either the Rangers or Dallas makes the conference finals, you're giving St. Louis a pick 29, 30, 31, or 32 in the first round.
Right. So I'm not saying
I think that's the thinking behind it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that can't be a good pick, but generally, you know, if you're not in the top, if you're not in the lottery, there's no guarantees, and I think it's a good move. I think they need something like that to get over the hump, and we'll see what happens. And also, like Eddie just said, it's going to strengthen the fourth line. Now the VC will go down to there, and it just solidifies the whole lineup.
Yeah, I think that was my initial reaction. Was first, okay, what'd they give up? And I was pissed. It was a first rounder. I didn't want to trade either of these first round picks, but I guess that's just the going rate, right? I mean, I was not on the Patrick Kane bandwagon. I think he's a little bit cooked. He's injured, and I just thought that would blow up in their face. But Tarasenko, he's a different kind of player. You know, he's got the nickname Tank for a reason, right? He's big guy, 230-pound forward. So he's a physical presence. He goes to the net. He could snipe. I've loved Tarasenko. I always liked Tarasenko. So I'm happy he's a Ranger as a fan. I don't think they're going to sign him. It's just a pure, like you said, you called it a loaner. Yeah, it's just pure rental. And just think about this: Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, Vladimir Tarasenko on the first line. I mean, it's a little different than Jimmy Vesey. No offense to him, he's played well and he's had some tough luck in the last few games. He had some scoring chances, but that's a much different first line. Then you got the kid line behind that, Trocheck with Kreider, and who knows who they'll put there, right? It could be Vesey with Kreider and Trocheck. It could be Gaudreau. I don't know. But one of those two, Gaudreau or Vesey, will end up on the fourth line and push out, hopefully, Lecision or something. So I think you're right. It solidifies the lineup in one fell swoop. It also gets Ben Harper into the press box. So we should mention, in corresponding moves, the Rangers sent Will Cooley back to Hartford and waived Libor Hayek. So this might be the end of Libor Hayek with the Rangers. I don't know if you guys want to say anything about that, but that's a much stronger lineup, and that's the price you got to pay.
Why is Harper definitely out? This guy's definitely above Harper.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, they didn't bring in a guy making $1.9 million to sit in the press box. I think, we'll see how he plays. If he doesn't fit well and he's not playing well, we have Harper. Like, you have depth. You need 7D for a playoff stretch. You can't
Definitely.
just have
Without a
6.
doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was very important that they got that second NHL ready player in that deal. Without a doubt. Until I heard that with the first rounder and everything, I think it was a little bit of an overpay. But with obviously that defenseman, that already NHL proven defenseman, I think the Rangers win that trade. I know the first round pick is obviously very important, but like Coach had said, if you're not going to get in the top 15, there's really it's even less of a guarantee. And the Rangers are pretty solid in the next couple of years in that department as far as prospects, and then obviously picks turn into prospects. I understand that, but in the next couple of years, I think they're okay. I mean, further down the line, maybe we have to worry about it again.
Well, I think so. On the first round pick, I'm a big proponent on keeping first round picks. But when the Rangers traded Lundqvist to Dallas and got a first round pick, they had 2 in this draft. So deep down, I think everybody, even me, who was like, keep the 2 picks, everyone knew they were going to use one of those as currency to strengthen the roster this year. And I think it's a little bit, it makes me feel okay about it because they got 2 players, like you said, and they also have that other pick. So it's not like they have 0 first round picks now. So they're going to get 1 prospect out of the draft in the first round. That's fine. That's what they would have had anyway. So I've kind of come to terms with it. I'm okay with it. And I'm just excited to see Tarasenko. So interesting, Tarasenko and Panarin are buddies. When Panarin was signing into the NHL, when he was undrafted, he signed as a free agent with Chicago. Tarasenko was heavily recruiting him to the Blues. And he pretty much had a choice of where he wanted to go, and he chose Chicago. But Tarasenko and him know each other from Russia, from before the NHL. And also Nico Mikkola, the defenseman they picked up. I can't wait for Sam to say his name. I could just hear it on the broadcast.
He's definitely
making
the Rangers used to have a guy named Mikko Makala.
Did they?
Yeah. So he's got to definitely say that.
I can hear him say it next game. The Rangers went out and acquired Vladimir Tarasenko, Joe, and then Joe goes on about Tarasenko, and also Nico Mikkola. He's going to be very careful.
And he's going to look at Joe with that look.
Anyway, Mikkola, solid defensive defenseman. He's not an offensive-minded defenseman at all. So I think, I don't know much about him as far as eye test because I haven't watched him a lot, but all the scouting reports, all the analytics show he's a very solid defensive defenseman. And he played with Capo Caco in the international junior tournaments. Famously had 3 assists on Caco's hat trick in that tournament. So they know each other. They're also friendly. That's a side benefit, I think, where you look at Caco's never really had a fellow Finn on the team, which could help his adjustment to North America. I think we talked about that in the past, how that has been hard for him. So I think maybe having a fellow Finn there that he's familiar with and friendly with, that'll help Caco. And Panarin needs a boost. Having a buddy and a guy who he's going to play on a line with, Tarasenko, maybe Panarin gets a boost. So it's not just adding those players. I think it also could improve the play of some other players on the team as far as chemistry. What do you think of that?
I think that's very important. I think it's an underrated thing for sure. I mean, Kako, they always talk about that he's a little like introverted and a quiet guy, and bringing in a fellow countryman, someone that he could actually speak his native language to, and just things like that, and just make him feel a little bit more at home. And that translates onto the ice. People don't think about it as much, and I know we're guilty of it too, but these guys are human beings.
Well, I think the big picture to me is, I get all that. I think that is important. But the big picture to me is what we was talking about 2 weeks ago was we need to have someone that Panarin can set up and is going to finish. And I think that's going to make a big difference, especially in the playoffs. When you have a power play unit where you're going to be able to have those 3 out there, maybe not have Trocheck out there anymore on the power play, it's going to be a big difference.
Well, hopefully that's what they do. I was going to ask you guys about that. Do you think this bumps Trocheck off PP1? It makes it makes the second unit that much better too, because Trocheck goes on to the second unit. So last thing on Mikkola before I talk about Drury. So Mikkola's 6'4", 185 pounds. That's kind of light for 6'4", but he's big.
That's very light. That's very light for 6'4".
Yeah, well, that's what Cap Friendly has him as. So let me check NHL.com and what they say.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll comment.
NHL's got him 6'4", 209. So that's a little better.
I mean, I'm like 209 and I'm 5'9".
That's a different 209, Ed.
Well, I'm working on it. But what was I going to say about Trocheck? They got to take him off the power play, right? I mean, I think Coach Ed's muted, so I'll just talk about that real quick. They got to take him off that. We've been talking about the last couple of weeks that they need that left-handed shot on the right wing to take some of the focus off Zibanejad. So now that they have Tarasenko as a sniper and Zibanejad as a sniper on both sides of the ice with Panarin and Fox setting those guys up, I mean, come on, you can't quagmire a little bit on that, right?
Or maybe they'll do the Fogo.
Yeah, but I was just thinking the other night, it's kind of weird that this happened, that I was like, I kind of like the second power play being the kids line with Keandre and Trouba on the point. So now I guess it's a good problem to have that you have too many power play players.
Well, it's easy. You just take Trouba off the power play.
I guess, but like I like his slap shot from the point sometimes. I mean, they just got a goal the other night from his shot on the point. So it's hard. I mean, they all bring different things to the table that are all good power play like attributes or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think Trocheck in front of the net on the second power play with Kako, Hedel, Laffy, and Keandre or Trouba. I'm very happy with that kind of setup. I think that would be really good, and I like Tarasenko in that right spot. Even if they do this stupid bumper thing where they need a righty, just forget that. Just put him there. Let him play bumper and put him there, or move somebody else into the bumper. Figure it out. So I think they will, but we'll see tomorrow night. Or I guess tonight when this gets released, Tarasenko is going to debut, and we'll see what happens when they get the power play. I think if he's not immediately on power play 1, I wouldn't say he's not going to be on it, because he needs to practice with the team maybe once or twice before they put him on the power play. So maybe they go with Trocheck tomorrow night, and I don't know.
There's absolutely no way he's not on PP1.
I mean, I agree. I think
there's no way.
You never know with Gallant, Coach.
Yeah,
he likes his guys,
he doesn't need to practice with that unit.
So we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't mess around and start mixing these lines up, because I think they're solid the way they are right now. I think he's got the right mix with Tarasenko there. I mean, I think it's ready to.
Well, tell Fido to get the sedatives ready, because when he leaves VC on the first line and he puts Tarasenko on the fourth line,
What?
I know.
They're gonna have to revive you.
I think they'd have to revive me if that happens. Never mind cousin Ed. But yeah.
So
I'm excited for it.
Oh, for sure. So Chris Drury spoke to the media, which he rarely does, about the trade, and he said, quote, "It's something we've been looking at for a while. It gives the two new players a little more time to acclimate to our group. So excited to do it now and get them in the lineup tomorrow." Coach, your thoughts on that? So in advance of the deadline, you get these players. There's about 30 games left in the season instead of 18. How much of a difference can that make going into the playoffs?
It's going to make a big difference, because first of all, if you look at the standings, there's not a lot separating the two teams that are out of the playoffs and the Rangers. If those teams go on some kind of a run, like Florida, even Philly's tight there, and the Rangers go on a little slide, it's not out of the realm of possibility. There's no guarantee they're in the playoffs. There's a lot of teams pushing hard. So they need it now, and they need to have that chemistry going into the playoffs. I think it's a great move now.
Yeah, Little Ed, you agree?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the more time to develop that chemistry, the better. I mean, there's not much to add to that.
Yeah, and interesting to note, he also said, in doing our homework on this deal, I did have a quick conversation with Artemi. We're excited to have him in the group and think he'll fit in nicely, speaking about Tarasenko. So I guess he ran it by Artemi before pulling the trigger.
So Tarasenko's got some more stock of the gas coming over from St. Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I need that gas.
The gateway west.
Yeah, so and then I'll go ahead, sorry.
No, I think you were about to say the same thing.
No, go for it.
I was going to say the quote on that Drury said about Mikkola. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah. He called him a shutdown defenseman. He has good size and reach, just like Keandre does. We got real good reports on him. So that's the quote.
How much does Keandre weigh?
Where's Mike when you need him? According to NHL.com, 215, 6'5".
I mean, he should weigh more at 6'5" too, but he'll get there.
Well, these guys are lean. Their muscle is lean. It's different.
Yeah, they're flying out there.
They eat better. They have different kind of muscle structure.
How about Tarasenko's 230? Guy's a bull.
He's more like a bull, right? Exactly.
Well, they're
more like horses.
Right? Or 220. Carter's like 220. Probably.
All right, now I'll look up Kreider's. Let me see how much. Anyone else you want to know how much?
The whole team weighs a metric ton.
230. Yep.
The Russians are generally like that. You watch that show, The Russian Five, and they show you them working out in Russia in the 70s. Guys were like freaking like tanks, like you said. These guys with legs are thick. They're big, strong, like Ovechkin. Nemchinov was like that.
Yeah.
6'1", 228 for Tarasenko.
Jesus.
These guys have been skating since they're 2 years old, and they're just freaking beasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got legs on them for sure, trunks.
So just to wrap up this point here on the cap, so a lot of fans are wondering, because, looking at the team now, the only holes I think left to fill are on the fourth line, right? They got the third pairing defenseman. They got the first line right wing. So you're looking at the fourth line, and I know, Coach, you have expressed being satisfied with their options there. But I think there's room for improvement, particularly at fourth line center. They could opt to put Gaudreau as the fourth line center. I kind of like him better on the third line. And I'd rather go get an actual fourth line center. But they only have about $1 million in deadline cap space left to work with. So you're limited in who you can actually go get without money moving out. So, do you think the Rangers need to add a fourth liner like a Tyler Mott or a fourth line center? or do you think you're comfortable with Gauthier, Lecision, and VC or Gaudreau on the fourth line?
I mean, if the right opportunity comes up, I don't think they have to. I'm not saying they need to do it in order to get to the finals. If the right opportunity comes up, I'm sure he'll pull the trigger on the right guy. But I don't think they're going to be hurting if they don't. I think they have guys that can play the position. I think they're pretty good. I mean, I can't really complain.
Little Ed, what do you think? Do you think they need a fourth liner, one more guy maybe to fill this roster out, or are you comfortable with that group?
I think they could definitely use one more guy in that fourth line. I don't think Drury's done yet. There was another quote in that group saying that we're certainly still looking at ways to improve the group. I could see your point about that area being the fourth line, and it'll be one we look at for sure, as well as a few others, and see what we could do between now and the deadline. I think the fourth line, I've talked about it a few times, is very important. I'm not taking anything away from Gaudreau and VC for sure. Maybe I just haven't seen enough out of Lecision. Maybe he is capable of it. I'm not really sure, but I'd like to see another player come in as depth, another depth player or something. And then don't forget you have Gauthier too. So
yeah, I think he'll draw back in now with Cooley going down and Blake getting moved.
Cooley, yeah. So
well,
I don't know. We'll see. Like Coach Ed said, I think the right opportunity, sure, but I don't think it's a necessary thing. But I'd like to see it.
Yeah, and the good thing for me about this move is they didn't trade Zach Jones, they didn't trade Matt Robertson, they didn't trade Kravtsov, they didn't trade Othman. So again, Drury pulls it off. Yes, he gave up a first-round pick. It's a high asset. But all the guys they drafted or acquired who are young are still here. So plenty of youth still on the team. We still have a first-round pick next year. I don't think we can afford anybody who would cost a first-round pick. But, Coach, I just wanted your thoughts on Kravtsov surviving another trade. How many more trades is he going to survive and stay a Ranger?
The way that team's looking now, I can't see it. I can't see much.
But he's good depth, right? You would agree, just letting him sit for a playoff run. If, God forbid, one of these like Kako or Laffy get hurt, he's a pretty good guy to just jump into the lineup in a playoff series with a good attitude. He's had a good attitude this year. They show him laughing at practice and working hard. Can't really complain about that. So I kind of like the idea of letting him work on his strength, maybe give him a few more games during the regular season where it fits, and just having him available in the playoffs if one of the skill guys gets hurt.
I don't know what you want me to say.
I want your opinion on that. You don't have to agree.
I don't agree with it. I didn't see him making much of an impact on the games when he was in. It was disappointing to me. I'd rather not. I'm not real comfortable with him being the fill-in guy if one of our guys goes down.
All right, Little Ed, your thoughts.
I see your point, being that he does have experience playing with Heedle, Laffy, Kako, all those guys. So I could see him filling in for one of them, not well necessarily, because I can't really compare him to any of those guys because they're just playing on another level right now, and we haven't really seen a lot from Kravtsov. And then there was another quote saying that Drury said that it's Turk's call and it's Turk's lineup. So that kind of
well, you should finish that quote. You should finish the quote instead of just ending it at that point.
Well, I wasn't gonna end it. I was gonna say that kind of shows, because we touched on that, how much influence the GM has on the lineup. So this quote is kind of saying that it's Turk's, and it says, I think Vitaly has played some really good hockey at points this year. He hasn't been in for a little. He hasn't been in for a little bit here, but he's been doing everything he can off ice and in practice to get back in there. So we'll see.
It's a pretty good endorsement from the GM, I think. It could be a little bit of posturing, though, right? If he's someone that
he could be. Yeah,
if Drury's trying to move him, right? If he's trying to move him in a deal or something, he's not going to come in and say, "Oh, yeah, he's not practicing hard and doesn't want to be here anymore." So it could be a little bit of posturing, but I see Drury.
No, I just thought it was interesting that he said that it's all Turk or it's all Gallant. thought that was weird that he would say that. Not really throw him under the bus, but kind of say, "Hey, it's his call, not mine."
Well, I don't think that's throwing him under the bus. I think that's the truth, and I think that's how it should be. I mean, they should have conferences based on salary cap issues and whatnot, on that daily salary cap, which I don't fully understand, but I know it's an issue. But they shouldn't. The GM shouldn't step in and say, "I want Kravtsov in the lineup." If the coach doesn't feel that he's doing what he needs to do for the team dynamic, then that's the head coach's call, without a doubt.
Yeah,
The
of
coach
course the Rangers acquired Tarasenko, and Drury gives a press conference, and the media just takes advantage of that and starts asking Drury questions about like Kravtsov and Hayek and like all these like non-Tarasenko related topics. So, he was asked a couple of questions about it. I didn't actually see the press conference, but I looked at the quotes, and he not only said that, but he also said, I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. I just try to give him, meaning Gallant, as many good players as I can, and then let him kind of figure out the right. He just wants to give him like as many good players as he can, and he trusts Gallant to make the lineup. So I don't know if I fully believe that Drury doesn't have a say in who plays where, but we'll see what happens. I mean,
I would find it hard to believe that he didn't have a conference with Gallant. Say, look, we're thinking of getting Tarasenko. What do you think? I don't think
for sure.
I don't think Drury just goes out and gets the player and says, "Here, do something with him."
I'm sure he consulted, Panarin, Gallant, Kreider, and everybody. I'm sure it's a conversation with everyone. You think this guy will fit in the locker room? There's a lot that goes into these moves for sure.
Now I'm wondering,
but he's not gonna. The point is, he's not gonna tell Gallant. I think this is the point Little Ed was making. He's not gonna tell Gallant, dude, enough. Put Kravtsov in. Like he's been out 20 games. Like he's just not doing that. It's not up to him. That's the way he looks at it, at least.
My question is, did St. Louis actually say, I want Blade back?
I think that was a money thing, right? So when we talked about moving Sammy Blais, the point I made was we don't need to trade Sammy Blais. We can get what we need without trading him. But when the Rangers brought in both of these guys, Mikkola and Tarasenko, even if 50% retained, that's a deadline cap hit close to, what is it, 1.9 plus 3.75. So what is that? Close to 6 million. It's like 5.5, 6 million. At that point, you're cutting it close. So they needed to move Blais money out to have a little bit of wiggle room to go and add maybe a Mott or something. I think they're going to be interested in Mott, and it's possible that there's a reunion there, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Look, I'm happy. It's a good day.
I was going to bring that up before with the fourth line. If they have Mott in the fourth line, that's money.
Yeah, just put Mott. If they get Mott, then you got to go Gaudreau as the fourth line center and put VC on the third line, I think. And then you go Mott, Gaudreau, and Gauthier on the third line.
Fourth line.
A fourth line, sorry. If they go and get a center, I think you put VC with that center and Gauthier. But this looks like Gauthier's got that fourth line right wing spot. I don't know, unless they call up Cooley and waive Gauthier. I don't know, but
how many times did they waive Gauthier this year already?
Waive him again. I think the goal should be, and I think Lecision is not a bad waiver pickup because of his cap hit, so he's going to be here a couple of years at league minimum. I think the goal should be to upgrade that spot somehow, whether it's Gaudreau or an acquisition. And then I think this lineup is good to go, man. So, and if you look at our D, if you consider Zach Jones NHL ready, we really are 8 defensemen deep, not 7, right? So we'll see. Tarasenko, number 91, traded for Sammy Blais, number 91. So he'll just take Sammy Blais' jersey. We just had episode 91, so we can't go back and add Tarasenko as the current Ranger, but
I think I'm allowed to say this. I'm going to chance it. I'll ask Oscar after, and if I have to edit it out, fine. But Oscar said to Coach Ed at the Ranger game the other night that he was making you a Sammy Blais jersey to test the curse. All he did was say the words, and Sammy Blais got traded.
Well, in fairness, Sammy Blais' time is running out.
I'm the commissioner.
You can't make a Sammy Blais. If you're going to if you're gonna test the curse, you got to do it with a guy who's signed to like a 4 or 5 year contract, and let's see what happens. You can't do it with a guy who's an unrestricted free agent and
Either
is
way, I
getting
think
sent to Hartford.
you're avoiding the main point of the conversation here. Is that all he did was say the words?
Tell him to instead of Blade, just snap on a Tarasenko on the jersey and send that my way.
There you go. That's what I told him. So we'll see.
No,
right.
no. Not till after.
Yeah, after the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll get a Tarasenko jersey when he's
with the Stanley Cup patch on it.
Yeah, that would be sick. I'm really excited. This looks like a really good team with Heedle's growth and Kako and Laffy playing well and getting Tarasenko. Kreider on a third line role. I mean, this is a deep roster right now. And if Igor gets hot, boys, who knows? We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. One of my Loyola friends actually said that. He's like, Kreider on the third line, like that's just scary. If Kreider's on the third line, that means the top two lines are looking pretty damn good.
Yep. It's a deep roster. I'm excited to see how it plays this weekend, and we'll talk about it on Tuesday. But we just wanted to drop this episode for you fans. I know it's an exciting day in Rangers world, and we didn't want to wait till Tuesday to let you know. And I guess you guys hear it on Thursdays. We usually record Tuesday or Wednesdays. So
yeah, this will be dropped Friday morning. Should be Friday when you guys are listening to this.
Yeah, so we just wanted to get this out, and we'll see what happens. Not much more room to play with. I expect this to be mostly what the Rangers do unless they move money out somewhere. But I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, real quick, I guess this is news too. The Coyotes have chosen the Rangers 2026 second-round pick over the 2024 third-round pick from the Nemeth trade last summer.
Yeah, so getting rid of Nemeth, a Coach Ed favorite, just getting rid of him cost the Rangers 2 second-round picks. Just saying. Just to get rid of him. That's how bad he was. What do you think, Coach?
That's how bad his contract was, not how bad he was.
If
he was making less money, he wouldn't be that bad.
He wouldn't cost 2 second-round picks.
You don't like any number 6 defenseman other than Zach Jones and Nils Lundqvist.
We'll see if he likes Mikkola.
I didn't hate
like one guy.
Mikkola.
No, I don't like old, crappy defensemen. I don't mind number 6 defensemen, but I don't like cones who are just big and like grunting on the ice, and then that's why they play because you got this guy who like throws his arms up and like hits a guy in front of the net, and they're like, "Oh,
you don't
he's
like
a steady
Harper
defenseman.
Either.
He's a steady guy." Like I don't see him as steady. I see him as a liability. He doesn't move well. He can't make an outlet pass. Harper, I said to Little Ed a few times I was happy with his play though. In fairness,
no,
I didn't hate Harper.
You'd rather have a guy like Zach Jones who can move a cone out from the front of the net.
I didn't say that. I said I'd like to get a look at Zach Jones again. I think he was up for a little bit, and we just haven't seen him since. So
he was an AHL All-Star, Joe.
I just think there's, I'd like to see him again before we just give up on him too. I mean, he's a young, talented player. I don't like just not getting a look at those guys in favor of.
I think they're giving up on him. I think he's doing great in Hartford where he's at. He's developing, and he's getting a lot of minutes, a lot of power play. Played in the All-Star game, like I just said.
Listen, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with him being in Hartford. I just didn't like Tenorti. I didn't like Jack Johnson. I wasn't a huge fan of Harper, but he had some good games where, I admitted that he played well. I didn't hate Harper. I think he's a really good 7th defenseman.
All right.
So
I didn't mean to drop a bomb on the positive ending of our emergency.
Yeah, Coach.
Episode.
It's all right. Coach Ed has to. I trolled Coach a few times, so he had to troll me. Coach is still trying to deal with the fact that Heedle is the Rangers' best even strength goal scorer. He can't wrap his head around that yet. He's had to admit he likes Heedle.
It's about to explode.
I know he's had to admit that Heedle's better, and like it's going to be
Coach
hard
Ed's short circuiting over there.
God help him if Kravtsov
didn't get traded. Heedle's the best player in the Rangers.
If Kravtsov develops into anything, I can't wait to hear Coach be like, "Okay, Kravtsov's good." Like I can't wait for that.
I don't know about that.
Anyway,
we'll see.
We should be enough of this. We should be excited about Tarasenko.
Hell yeah, let's go.
I'm really pumped.
Heedle's got 30 games still to the playoffs. He's got to get there first.
Oh, stop it.
He's well on his way. Let's go Rangers.
Let's go,
all right, boys. Let's go Rangers.
Wait, what's the over-under? What's the over-under if Vlad gets a goal in his first game as a Ranger?
I don't know. Ask Eddie. Go on the app.
It's probably not up yet, but I'll let you guys know. I'll
Yeah,
throw
let us know.
$5 on it for the hell of it. Why not?
Who they play? Kraken?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kraken and then Carolina on Saturday.
Ooh, that's going to be interesting. That's great. Good job, boys. Let's do it.
All right, guys. Love you guys.
Love you guys. Shout out to all the fans. Shout out to Oscar's Pro Stitch and Suitors Sweet Treats for all your support. Love you guys.
Let's go. Let's go Rangers.